Did you know that the most famous yellow family in the world of cartoons has made a reference to the most beloved villainous yellow helpers in the world? Didn't get it? Don't worry, we'll explain it to you right now. We're talking about the time when The Simpsons, a show that's been on for almost 30 years, made a reference to the Minions. This happened in one of The Simpsons' Treehouse of Horror episodes, where various versions of the Springfield family gather in the house, such as one version styled like Adventure Time and another styled like South Park. And finally, at the end, we see the Minion version of The Simpsons, totally inspired by Gru's Henchmen, where the Minion version of Marge says something, which as always, we absolutely don't understand. And then we see Homer Minion speaking his version of "No!" Did she ask if he brought his wallet? That was just the first of the 20 appearances of Minions in other movies and cartoons that we're going to show you today. The Minions are so successful around the world that they even appear in another one of the greatest cartoons in history. We're talking about the episode in The Amazing World of Gumball, where the two brothers, Gumball and Darwin, are teaching Nicole how to use a computer. And, for a moment, we see a character identical to the Minions on the screen, only with inverted colors, that is, with a yellow jumpsuit and blue skin. But there's no doubt, it's definitely a reference to the Minions in Gumball. Now, talking about movies, we found the Minions a few times in the 2016 movie Pets, which is from the same company that created Despicable Me and the Minions, Illumination. This happens when Duke is eating from the food bowl on the floor, and if we look up a bit, we can see a small magnet on the fridge that looks like one of the Minions. Almost missed this one. And to tell the truth, the Minions appeared even before that in Pets. Did you know that? When Illumination released the movie's promotional teaser, we can see Bob, one of the three main Minions, interacting with Max, one of the protagonists of Pets. But in this teaser for The Secret Life of Pets, this situation is reversed. Actually, Bob acts like he's the pet. I love this scene. Another Illumination movie that showed us that the Minions are practically omnipresent in the animation company's universe was the famous The Lorax. When Ted, the protagonist of the movie, is going through his stuff, we find a Stuart figurine, one of the three Minions, in his drawer as he's getting ready to find the Onceler, along with some other things like a nail and a battery. Very cool reference, but it's not the only one. If we take a close look, Ted's sneakers have a very peculiar emblem. It's from the brand Gru's Shoes, which is a reference to the boss of the Minions, of course. But that's not all. In the center of the logo, we can see once again a representation of Stuart with his one eye. Now let's move on to a somewhat heavier Minion appearance. It happens in American Dad, in an episode of the 12th season that takes place at a harvest festival. And at the prize booth, guess who's there? That's right, the Minions! The booth guy even says they're called Munions, and they're like Minions, only more fun. They're dressed in typical Jamaican clothes, and many of them have, you know, cigarettes, reminding us a lot of the reggae icon Bob Marley. We have to admit that this was a bit heavy. So, to lighten the mood a bit, here's a suggestion. Subscribe to this channel here so you don't miss out on the next videos we post daily about movies, cartoons, and series for your entertainment. Talking about another cartoon made for adults, we see another reference to the Minions. We're talking about the Netflix show Conspiracy Department, which unfortunately only had 2 seasons. In one of the episodes, the characters talk about how the Minions weren't created by accident, but rather with the goal of controlling the human mind. Let me tell you, if that's true, their plan worked very well. Practically everyone loves the Minions.
Look what happens when you slow it down.
Returning to the Pets movie from 2016, in one of the final scenes, when the little hamster Norman returns home and wakes up his owner, we can see that beside his bed, near the lamp, there's a small Minion figurine, once again of Stuart. Sometimes I think Stuart is the favorite Minion of the Illumination folks, but I don't want to stir up any trouble. But just to be fair, it's not only Stuart who appears. Towards the end of Pets, when the animals from the building are once again having one of their hidden parties, we see Mel wearing an unmistakable Minion outfit. And to be fair, this time it seems like the reference was for Bob. Now, on a serious note, it almost makes me want to get one of those for my dog. Now, moving on to live-action films, many people might not remember, but in 2018, a movie called Mortal Engines was released, where in the future, cities moved on wheels. And in the scene where we visit the museum, the curator refers to the Minions as American deities, hinting that in the future, the Minions became gods in the United States. Another cool appearance of the Minions happened in a small crossover between characters from the company that created the Yellow Villain Henchmen. In the short film released in 2018 called The Dog Days of Winter, we see the faithful companion of the Grinch, Max, taking care of the green furry being who hates Christmas. In the introduction, we see a scene where the Minions are kind of freezing, with the Illumination logo right behind them. Shortly after, we realize that they're actually inside a crystal ball being manipulated by the Grinch himself, causing them to fly in various directions. And if you think that was the only interaction between the Grinch and the minions, you're mistaken. That's because in the Illumination Christmas short, we see the characters together once again, although this time we can say that it was the Grinch who participated in the Minions short. After all, it was their show. We see the Minions trying to cheer up the little Grinch a bit, so they create a Christmas light show with the Illumination name, the creator of the yellow characters. Pleasing the boss is always quite cunning, isn't it, Minions? Now, we want to hear from you. Who's your favorite Minion? Comment down below, or use hashtag Bob, hashtag Kevin, or hashtag Stuart for us to know which of the three is the most beloved of all. If it's another Minion, you can comment as well. Now, in another cartoon with quite sarcastic comedy, Family Guy, we also see some references to the Minions. When Brian receives a DVD as a gift, we can see that on the back are very small representations of the Minions. Actually, in that same episode, right in the following scene, we see another appearance of a small Minion, but this one is more explicit. But this time, he's in a much heavier scene, as the little character is auditioning for a movie with a Hollywood producer accused of taking advantage of people, let's say.
Minions 3?
Yeah, in this one, Gru has been replaced by Harvey Weinstein.
Speaking again of Minion references in The Simpsons, we find a few more. In the episode where the family goes to an amusement park called the Grunions Ride, first, we can see that the name Grunions is a clear parody of Minions. But not only that, we can see that all the park mascots spread around are alternative representations of the Minions. I don't know about you, but I love seeing The Simpsons teasing other movies and cartoons. And since The Simpsons is the universal show for jokes, we find another Minion reference in it, but a bit different. In the comic book guy's shop, at a certain moment, he goes to grab a soda on his desk and ends up spilling the drink on a poster in the shop. When we look at the poster, we see several small orange characters wearing Jewish clothes and wearing yarmulkes on their heads. But what really catches the eye is the name at the top of the poster, where it says Minions, which of course is another reference to the faithful villain henchmen we all love. In another scene again from Family Guy, we see another reference to the Minions. Peter talks about a time he was in a kind of unconventional museum and the Minions were there in a rather non-childish way. Proof of this is that in the background, we can see distorted yellow images that are from the characters of Despicable Me, without a doubt. Once again in Family Guy, we see Peter pulling out of his pocket a Minions credit card, which is another explicit reference. The card is completely yellow and has the typical Minions blue goggles on it. To be honest, it even makes me want to have one of those credit cards. And to wrap it up, we couldn't forget to mention the incredible appearance of the Minions in the McDonald's commercial, where Kevin, Stuart, and Bob fight over the last nugget. This commercial was produced in partnership between the fast food giant and Illumination to promote Minions 2, The Rise of Gru. And let me tell you, it was really cool. Those were the 20 appearances of the Minions in other movies and cartoons that we picked out today for you to watch with us. I don't know about you, but I love seeing the Minions in their own movies or in Gru's movies. It's always so much fun. And since we know you also like to have fun, we picked out these two videos for you to choose from and keep enjoying. I heard that the one on the left is really cool. Have fun!